Hi, my name is Promi, and today I will be telling you about the liver. The liver is a reddish-brown organ secured by your rib cage and beside your stomach. It has a soft, smooth layer of tissue on top of it. This gives the liver its nice, smooth texture. Your liver has two major blood supplies. It is called the portal vein and the hepatic artery. The portal vein takes it takes nutrients from your intestine and brings it to your liver. And the hepatic artery brings oxygenated blood from your heart. This gives its liver double blood supply, which gives it its better job, which makes its job easier. Inside two of the pieces of the liver, there's two pieces of the liver. Well, they're all connected. They just divide it to right lobe and a left lobe. This right lobe takes 5/6 of the actual organ. Your liver is the most heaviest and the most biggest gland. A gland is an organ or something that makes some sort of secretion, usually a liquid. For example, the liver creates bile. Also, inside of these little lobes, there are smaller things called lobules. These are used to purify your blood. For example, take the poisons out of your blood. This process is taken when oxygenated or deoxygenated blood goes inside your liver. Then it goes into small lobules, and then they take out these poisons. Then they send it to bile. Bile is something that helps you digest fatty foods. The bile takes it away to your intestine to be removed from your body. That is how the liver takes out the poison. Also, the liver has multiple jobs. They actually have 500 jobs over that. But these are usually made into 3 groups. It's called cleansing, production, and it's also called another one, which is also known as storage. The cleansing is when the liver purifies your blood. They take out poisons from food and drinks. That is usually the cleansing. The storage is sometimes when you eat a lot, sometimes not all the glucose is needed. So instead, it was taken as glycogen. And it's stored as glycogen inside the liver storage. This is why this is called storage. Whenever your muscles need some glycogen or glucose, glycogen is turned back into glucose and sent to your muscles. Production is whenever you sleep, whenever you rest, whenever you're sitting down, whenever you're watching TV. This production will never stop. It will continue making bile. It will make cholesterol. It will make many other things. One of these are called insulin. Sometimes if you have too much glucose inside your muscles, Insulin makes sure that this extra glucose goes back to your liver. And sometimes, if it's too less, the insulin makes sure that the liver's glucose goes through the bloodstream into the muscles. This glucose travels by the bloodstream or like the artery. And insulin is a hormone. A hormone is something that your body creates. There's also another special cell which destroys excess cells. These excess cells are called a special cell. It's normal for your body to make an excess cell, so these special cells destroy these other cells. The liver comes in and takes away this iron, and this is because always the iron inside cells are reusable. Many people drink alcohol, but they don't realize how much harmful this is to your liver. For example, when you eat alcohol or drink it, that time this alcohol just floats around in your bloodstream. Your liver only takes a little by little, and so the other one just roam around in the bloodstream. Whenever it goes inside your heart, it goes also to the brain. When it goes to the brain, it affects the brain quickly and makes you speak strangely, and it also makes it hard for you to stand up. By the time the liver is done with the first one, your entire body is probably affected by the alcohol. This isn't good for you because too much alcohol can cause very serious problems. For example, some of the problems are like you won't feel well later. This is because alcohol makes you feel a bit different. Some people may say more like happy, because you really can't control your brain after the alcohol goes through. Sometimes even a small drop of alcohol isn't okay for you, especially if you eat too much. Food. If you've ever heard in France, there's a food called foie gras. This is caused from a fatty liver. This happens when some farmers keep geese or sometimes duck in small little pens. These small little pens are so small that they can't burn off this energy. The farmers give them so much food that they have something called a fatty liver. Fatty livers can also be in humans, and it isn't good. It means that your liver is fat. So, after these birds have fatty livers, these farmers butcher them and then give them away to restaurants, their livers. Then these people cook them and serve them to people. Some people say it is awesome and delicious, but other people argue that it is a cruel way to treat the birds. There are some tips to keep your liver healthy. Some of them are to organize your study routine. If you keep them at the last moment, it'll be a stress not only on your brain, but also on your entire body, like your liver. You should get plenty of sleep. This will ensure that your liver will work properly. You should get at least 8 hours of sleep as an adult and 10 hours of sleep if you're about a child, and if you're very young, maybe 12 is good for you. Also, another thing is to get exercise. You don't have to jog until you fall. 20 minutes of exercise 3 times a week is enough for your liver to stay healthy. Make sure that you eat at the correct timings. For example, try not to eat breakfast at 12 o'clock and eat lunch at 5. This makes your liver unhealthy and also very, very hungry. Also, you have to make sure you drink plenty of water. Too little water will make you dehydrated. This means that you have too less water and you may feel a bit dizzy. This isn't good for your body. It might also destroy some of your jobs in your liver. Make sure that you eat well-balanced meals. Like, for example, don't eat too much at lunch and so little at dinner and hardly anything at the morning. This isn't good for your body. It's actually quite irregular. You should probably go with a medium amount at breakfast, a medium amount at lunch, and maybe a bit heavier on dinner. Okay, so the liver, their main job is they have 500 different jobs. So the main ones are making bile, cholesterol, making storage, sending glucose, insulin, collecting multiple, and there's hundreds of more jobs. Most of these jobs are just done by the liver. You can think of the heart and the lungs. You probably don't have a lot of jobs as how much the liver does. Bile is made by two pigments. These 2 pigments are a greenish pigment and a reddish brown pigment. The liver also creates pigments. This gives bile its color. Bile is mainly used to digest fatty foods. Bile is made by water, pigments, fat, minerals, and bile salts. These all make up bile. If you would taste bile, it would be bitter. This is because of the pigments. This bile is stored in the gallbladder. Whenever it is in use, the liver takes out this bile from the gallbladder and pushes this into the duodenum. This is the beginning part of the intestine, the small one, not the big. The big one's for poop, and the small one is to take nutrients or nutrients. And water is also taken out of the large intestine. The liver also uses bile salts. These bile salts are also made by the liver. Whenever bile goes inside the duodenum, bile salts usually return back. Bile works like how you clean soap on a plate. Whenever you clean it, notice how all of these germs fall away. This is almost similar to how the bile breaks fat. This fat is easier to digest when the bile breaks it down. Also, there are some diseases. These diseases are yellow fever. It is called yellow fever because many people have jaundice with this fever. This is why it's called yellow fever. Jaundice is because there are too many of the bile pigments inside your body. This makes your skin go yellow. Okay, you know that yellow fever is also a liver disease? It makes your liver, all the bile, these pigments, come out. This is why it's called yellow fever. These pigments go around your skin and makes you have jaundice. This is why it's called yellow fever. Some symptoms of yellow fever are shivers, headaches, and very high temperature. A person can only have yellow fever once. If you go to a country with yellow fever, like say Africa, then you probably will get a vaccination from your doctor. Yellow fever may also spread from mosquitoes. Today, still people have yellow fever. There's also another one called hepatitis. You may have heard this one because it is the most dangerous disease that your liver can get. There are two types of hepatitis, hepatitis A and hepatitis B. Hepatitis A is more common and is not as dangerous as hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is not that much common to see in people. Hepatitis A happens when it goes through infected water, such as it goes through food and water. This is how you get infected. Some of the symptoms are flu-like. You will get weakness, very, very high temperature, aching. Maximum of them are like the flu. Hepatitis A can be treated and is not as hard. Once you get it once, you don't have to get it anymore. You won't get it anymore. Hepatitis B is a very serious one. It usually happens from blood transfusion and dirty needles. From here, these will swell up your liver, and it's really dangerous. Doctors usually treat hepatitis A and hepatitis B the same way. In India, not long ago, there was a huge case of hepatitis. People who drank and bathed in the river Ganges, Ganges, would get hepatitis. This is because the water was infected with hepatitis. Once the people even stepped in there or drank or bathed in there, they got hepatitis. Then when they returned from their village, the hepatitis went far and wide. Today, that has stopped right now, but it can still probably come back in different countries. It isn't common in many countries in Europe, but it is a problem in poorer countries. Gallstones. These are made from cholesterol. Gallstones are made out of cholesterol. This is a production inside the liver. It is used in good ways and bad ways. Too little is bad and too much causes gallstones. They grow larger as they get bigger, as the liver gets bigger. And sometimes it grows so big that it actually blocks the entrance, trapping bile inside the gallbladder. And that causes a lot of pain. Sometimes when a stone falls inside the duct, it is so painful that you can't even stand it. Sometimes the pain happens because it went into bile duct. The bile duct is where the bile flows into the duodenum. And the gallstones, sometimes they form like this. First, they're little particles inside the gallbladder. Next, they start getting a bit bigger after that. Then they become so large that it's hard to remove them. Sometimes people cut the gallbladder because of the pain from the stones. Then the bile has no space to actually stay. People make 1 liter of bile, which is a lot when you think people only have 5 liters of blood. Your liver shrinks. For example, when you're an adult, you probably have about 1.5 kgs, like your liver. And when you're about very old, like 60 years old and up, your liver has shrunk to 0.8 to 1 kilo. When it's filled with blood, your liver can weigh up to 2.5 kgs. The older you get, the smaller it will be. But it's perfectly normal for your liver to shrink. Whenever it shrinks, it just means you're just becoming older. But a small liver works just as good as a big one as long as it's healthy. Thank you.